last week's paper. I have always believed my own daughter, now 10, to have been born without the involvement of any man. If you would like to know more information, you may write to me at the above address. The next editorial meeting, usually a dull affair involving the planning and distribution of duties for the week and a post-mortem of the errors and oversights in the previous issue, was livelier than it had been for some time. Jean Swinney, features editor, columnist, dog's body, and the only woman at the table, glanced at the letter as it was passed around. The slanted handwriting with its strange continental loops reminded her of a French teacher from school. She too had written the number 7 with a line through it, which the 13-year-old Jean had thought the height of sophistication and decided to imitate. Her mother had put a stop to that. She could hardly have been more affronted if Jean had taken to writing in blood. To Mrs. Swinney, all foreigners were Germans and beyond the pale. Thoughts of her mother prompted Jean to remember that she needed to pick up her shoes from the menders on the way home. It mystified her why someone who seldom left the house should need so many pairs of outdoor shoes. Also required were cigarettes, peppermint oil from Rumsey's, and kidneys and lard if she could be bothered to make a pie for dinner. Otherwise, it would just be eggs anyhow, that old standby. "Does anyone want to go and interview Our Lady of Sidcup?" asked Larry, the news editor. There was a general creaking backwards in chairs, indicative of dissent. "Not really my thing," said Bill, sports and entertainment editor. Jean slowly extended her hand to take the letter. She knew it was coming her way sooner or later. "Good idea," said Larry, huffing smoke across the table. "It's women's interest, after all." "Do we really want to encourage these cranks?" said Bill. "She may not be a crank," said Roy Drake, the editor, mildly. It made Jean smile to remember how intimidating she used to find him when she had joined the paper as a young woman, and how she would quake if summoned to his office. She had soon discovered he was not the sort of man who took pleasure in terrorizing his juniors. He had 4 daughters and treated all women kindly. Besides, it was hard to be in awe of someone whose suits were so very crumpled. "How can she not be?" Bill wanted to know. "You're not saying you believe in virgin births?" "No, but I'd be interested to know why this Mrs. Tilbury does." "She writes a good letter," said Larry. "Concise." "It's concise because she's foreign," said Jean. They all looked at her. No Englishwoman is taught handwriting like that. And Gretchen? "Well, clearly this is the sort of interview that is going to require some tact," said Roy. "So obviously it's going to have to be you, Jean." Around the table, heads nodded. No one was going to fight her for this story. "Anyway, the first thing is to go and check her out. I'm sure you'll be able to tell pretty quickly if she's a charlatan." "Give me 5 minutes alone with her, I'll tell you if she's a virgin," said Larry to general laughter. He leaned back in his chair, elbows out, hands behind his head, so that the grid lines of his vest were clearly visible against his shirt. "She doesn't say she's still a virgin," Bill pointed out. "This happened 10 years ago. She may have seen some action since then." "I'm sure Jean can manage without your expertise," said Roy, who didn't like that sort of talk. Jean had the feeling that if he wasn't there, the conversation would rapidly turn coarse. It was curious the way the others moderated their language to suit Roy's prudishness, while Jean herself was treated as one of the chaps. She took this as a compliment, mostly. In darker moments, when she noticed the way they behaved around younger, prettier women, the secretaries, for example, with a heavy-handed mixture of flirtation and gallantry, she wasn't so sure. Jean divided the rest of the afternoon between her household hints column and marriage lines, a write-up of the previous week's weddings. After a reception at St. Paul's Cray Community Centre, Mr. and Mrs. Plornish left for their honeymoon at St. Leonard's, the bride wearing a turquoise coat and black accessories. Household Hints was